Good morning everyone, welcome to Monday's video on Celtic AM. It's the start of a brand new week and it's Derby week. Oh, tasty stuff. We may well mention that once or twice over the course of this video, but there's also a hell of a lot to chat about and unpack from the weekend. So yeah, settle down. So yeah, all of the talk last week was about this Celtic team having back-to-back matches at Celtic Park and knowing that if we're able to win them both, we'd basically have the league wrapped up. Okay, not mathematically, but yeah, it would pretty much be done. Well, we can tick off the first one. Hearts have been dealt with, more than dealt with, to be honest. It was a fantastic performance from the team. So many positives that I'm going to try and sum up over the course of this video. To be honest, the afternoon went as well as I could have hoped. Fantastic, both on and off the pitch. And as I say, we're going to try and get through all of that on this video. However, first of all, let's cross over to Stevie shortly after full-time outside Celtic Park to give his thoughts on the game.
So Celtic 3, Hearts 0, we've got one hand on the title. Fantastic game today, amazing second half, but I think we were really looking for a strong performance today from certain individuals. I think we had some tension getting into it, especially with the fact that when we saw the team, it was the same team as against Dundee. There was a lot of question marks over Callum McGregor especially, and I thought he was fantastic, especially in that second half. Of course, you know, the narrative getting into the game with Hearts winning the last two games, you wouldn't have thought that with the teams today, because Celtic were like possessed, especially in that second half, seeing that game out. Massive levels of control, and that's what the fans were needing today, especially getting into that massive game next week. You know, nearly goal helped as well for Furuhashi. I think Hatate, I don't know if it's a shot or a cross, I've not seen any highlights, I'm just like right after the game. But it was a great finish to put us in the lead 1-0 first 5 minutes. Hearts could have scored in the first 30 seconds or so. Thank God they didn't, could have been a different game. And then after that, honestly, the ball from Matt O'Reilly to put it into Furuhashi to make it 2-0 was different class. The finish was great, but the assist was just unbelievable. It was reminding me a lot of Beckham, like for Real Madrid, with that famous one when he put it on a plate for Ronaldo or Zidane when he was there. It was unbelievable, and you've seen that for like Taylor before time and time again, and he doesn't quite get it right, but it was different class from Matt O'Reilly for that. Getting to that second half, 2-0 up, it was just huge for the Celtic team, and I think you saw a massive amount of control and dominance in the second half. Callum McGregor, as I said, was outstanding in the second half. There was a bit in the 55th minute where not only did he win the ball, but a slide tackle as well to dispossess Shankland, who I think could have been through in goal. Outstanding. Joe Hart made a fantastic save at 1-0, and he was showing a lot of great moments of leadership in the second half too. Even just wee things like when Scales was looking for a ball to be passed back to him, Joe Hart was always showing on his right foot. You're not going to see this on the telly or anything, I just saw it from where I was sitting, Hamish, but Joe Hart was so vocal bits in the second half. Even there was a bit in the 60th minute or so where I think Hearts put the ball out for one of their players. I think Hawken went down, I think it was, or maybe Mackay. Joe Hart was like up at the halfway line screaming, do not give the ball back. We did, too nice a team. But regardless, we saw the game out pretty well. As I said, the question marks over McGregor just make fans like myself look like idiots, because Brendan and the team at Lennoxtown, they see Callum McGregor week in, week out, and he was outstanding in that second half. So dominant, and we were so comfortable seeing the game out. And then it was a Stonewall penalty from what I saw. VAR gave it, Matt O'Reilly put it away pretty well. I thought Matt O'Reilly had a fantastic game too. And here's one for the reception that Dias Maeda got coming on. And the fans were marking out for him, and I haven't actually heard of that before. So well done to Dias Maeda, and actually winning over the fans to that level. It was fantastic to see. So yeah, everybody's happy. Before the game, by the way, just for the record, I was absolutely sloshed, and I've sobered up now. Shut it, yous. And our good pal Gamba, who's taking this video here, saw the state off me before the game. I'm going to probably eclipse that and get even worse now after that performance, because all we were looking for was a good display. By any means necessary, 3 points, but it was so comfortable in the end. great scenes at the end of the game as well that I'll send on to you through Hamish, and no complaints from me, which is what everybody at Celtic game wants to see and hear more. And I'm so looking forward to the game next week. As I say, one hand on the title, let's maybe see what Kilmarnock can do tomorrow. I don't really have any hope for them doing anything, but stranger things have happened this season. It was all about us today, and it's all about us now next week for the rest of the season, Hamish.
Yes, thanks very much, Stevie. And he did confirm to me separately that El Vino did indeed flow on Saturday night. So hope he had a wonderful night with all of his friends. And hopefully the same goes for all of you as well. Yeah, one hand on the title, he said at the start, and I think the end of that video. Do you agree with that assessment? Are we that close? Or is Stevie perhaps getting a little bit ahead of himself? Let me know. We'll definitely revisit that phrase and that topic nearer the end of the video. First of all, I want to just touch on the game itself. And yeah, I raced back from a night out here in Melbourne on Saturday night. Missed right at the start of the match. Actually turned on Celtic TV just as that big Hearts chance was happening. What was it, inside the first minute or something like that? It was really early on. And a combination of that and also like seeing the stadium not packed right at the start of the match. I mean, it clearly took a bit of time for the stadium to fully fill up. People probably spending a little bit of extra time in the pub. Terrible. I mean, who would do that? But just a combination of that Heart start and also, as I say, seeing some empty seats. I was just kind of fearing the worst right at the start when I turned that on and thinking maybe this isn't going to live up to the hype that I and many others had given it all week building up to the match. I needn't have worried because we scored shortly after that. Kyogo Furuhashi netting. Stevie says he wasn't sure whether it was a cross or a shot from Reo Hatate. Having watched it back, I think Hatate's just trying to help it back into the danger area. I don't think there was enough power on whatever he did for it to be a shot. It was too cushioned for that. I think he's just trying to help it back into the danger area where Kyogo was, and obviously he heads into the net. And it's funny because, you know, there's 19 players in that still image, all pretty much inside the box or just on the edge. Every Hearts player is there. All 11 of their players are in that shot. Yet Kyogo, who you can see there, his movement is that good and his anticipation is that good that he still ends up with a relatively easy header into the net. And I think it's massively underrated how we go from that packed penalty box to Kyogo heading into the net unchallenged. And he's not offside either. The movement is so good. And that gave us the perfect start. The stadium obviously went mad. As much as I'm saying that maybe when I turned on Celtic TV at first it didn't look full, it certainly did fill up in the minutes after that. And also from what I'm hearing from people who were at the game, the atmosphere was really good prior to kick-off, and getting that early goal just upped things, increased the decibels, etc. So that was massive. Getting the second goal as well was huge, possibly even better movement-wise from Kyogo. It's the Kyogo that we see so often. He makes these runs every single game, and so often he isn't actually picked out for whatever reason, whether the player in possession doesn't think they can pull off the ball, whether they think it's going to be a waste, whether they just don't see Kyogo. The difference here was that O'Reilly saw Kyogo and decided to go for the pass and also pulled off the pass. You know, it was an impeccable ball. Again, that's the still image to look at. And yeah, O'Reilly has the ball in an unthreatening position, to be honest. He's just really inside the Hearts half. And in 2 seconds after this still image, the ball's in the back of the net. It's an incredible ball from O'Reilly, and you know, people have spoken about that a hell of a lot. Great pass, great vision, great pass, great execution. Player playing at the top of his game in that moment. I think the movement and finish from Kyogo is just sensational though. The finish is really underrated. People kind of saying, oh, it was on a plate for him. The fact that he has the kind of awareness and confidence to just wait on the ball rather than rushing at it and to go first time and put it into the net was brilliant. Stevie compared it to a Real Madrid goal. I don't know, maybe you can help me out here. I swear Celtic have scored a goal like that. I thought it was Kyogo at first, so I looked through all of Kyogo's previous goals and I couldn't see one. I know people maybe talk about the Ferencváros one when Jota, pulled that amazing pass off. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, but I feel like there was another one. Part of me's thinking, did Gary Hooper once score a goal like that? I don't know, something nagging in my mind. You might be able to help out if you're as much of a creep as me with kind of Celtic taking over your brain and remembering weird things from years ago. But no, fantastic. And it must be one of those goals from an opposition point of view, a Hearts point of view, that you look at and you go, like, what am I meant to do about that? Again, as I say, it's a relatively unthreatening position. Kyogo starts the run, O'Reilly sees it, he plays an inch-perfect pass and Kyogo puts it away. But all of that happens in like a split second, blink and you'll miss it. It's just two players playing at the top of their game, fantastic, and really set us on our way. That goal for Kyogo was his 10th against Hearts. That's more than any other club while he's been playing for Celtic. Rangers are second in that list, by the way, 7 he's got against them, all in 2023. And yeah, those 10 goals against the Jambos have actually come in 10 starts. Saturday was actually the first time that he's netted more than once against Hearts as well. So yeah, basically when he starts against Hearts, he scores. Some really big ones in there too, game-deciding goals. Games that we wouldn't have won had he not scored goals in. But just look at that record. I know he's played a couple of other games against Hearts where he's come off the bench, but when he starts against them, apart from in December, just there when we were at a pretty low ebb, he nets. It's a really good record. More than good. It's an exceptional record against Hearts. He just seems to have it in for them. And yeah, he was outstanding. His movement, his finishing, I think that's really promising ahead of next weekend when we're going to be playing against a team who will view that game as a must-win. And there may be a little bit more space in behind than there normally would be. I think there was space in behind on Saturday that there maybe normally wouldn't be, and it'll be the same this coming weekend as well. Matt O'Reilly was great, took his penalty really well. I'm always wary of saying, he's definitely the guy for the next however long to take our penalties, because you're just one miss away from kind of going, terrible, etc. I feel like we were doing that with Adam Ida until we missed at Tynecastle. But O'Reilly does seem to have coolness when he takes penalties. I think that's 3 he's now scored. Did he take one in the shootout against Aberdeen? I feel like he did. Anyway, even if he didn't, Ibrox and Hearts, they are both taken really well. Side point, how the hell Kevin Clancy missed the handball from Lawrence Shankland in the first place and had to be helped out by VAR is a bit ridiculous, especially when you consider some of the penalties we've had against us for apparent handballs over the past couple of seasons. Madness. But anyway, the right decision was eventually reached. And it was just one of those days where you could go through pretty much the entire team and dish plaudits out. Rio Hatate was a joy to watch. James Forrest was superb, absolutely brilliant, according to Brendan Rodgers. He also said, this is Rodgers, a real throwback to when I was here the first time. He looks strong, James Forrest, really strong. Players kind of bouncing off him. He looks really assured as well. And I know he hasn't always had a brilliant record against Rangers. There's been a couple of really big goals and some really good things he's done. I would say in general, he hasn't always done it in that fixture. He's going to start next week for sure. And I think he's going to, do something special next week. I think James Forrest is a big one to watch. I just think he's really at it at the moment and confident as well, which is a huge, positive for him. Given that he's missed so much football, he looks right on it. Elsewhere, Alistair Johnson I thought was outstanding in the second half. Not heard many people talking about that. I guess when you win 3-0, the tendency is to look at the attackers, but Johnson was brilliant up and down in that second half. Joe Hart, again, someone you'd maybe overlook in a 3-0 victory. Huge contribution from him, a few good saves, one in particular from Cammy Devlin. Pretty good effort from Devlin, really quick kind of touch and volley, and Hart got up. And why am I trying to reenact Joe Hart? One for the cameras. Brilliant save. And absolutely loving it. as well. Stevie sent me this of him relaxing on the post. I think that was as Matt O'Reilly was stepping up to take his penalty. But that Hart save from Devlin got a real massive reaction from the Celtic Park support. Everyone was on their feet, and rightly so. It was a brilliant save, but probably not half as much of a reaction as a moment in the second half. You know the one I'm going to say, when Callum McGregor's tracking back, and really kind of symbolic moment, I guess. It was the Callum McGregor, typical Callum McGregor defensive run that's often overlooked in his game. People talk about his passing and his ability to keep the ball under pressure, and sometimes even his kind of powerful running, like we saw in that famous one at Ibrox a couple of seasons ago when we were really struggling in that game. But I think his defensive work is really underrated, and his tracking back, I think it was Shankland, I might be wrong, I think it was Shankland who he tracked back and put a slide tackle in and won the ball back. And there was one a few minutes later that wasn't quite as obvious, but again, it was good tracking back from McGregor. And I thought that got a massive reaction, potentially the loudest cheer of the day, apart from the goals, although there's another one we'll come on to. But that was a really symbolic moment for me. And again, without getting too ahead of ourselves, that to me signalled Callum McGregor was back. He struggled a bit over the recent matches, but I thought Saturday he was really, back to his best. And again, that's huge ahead of the derby on Saturday. And as I said last week in the lead up to the game, I was prepared to trust Rodgers, medical team, McGregor to get this right. On Saturday, they got it right. If they get it right this coming Saturday, it's going to really aid our chances of getting a result. So McGregor was back. That was brilliant. The other loud cheer, Daizen Maeda, coming back onto the pitch, a remarkable recovery. We didn't think we'd see him again this season. That a couple of weeks ago, that was pretty much confirmed by Brendan Rodgers that we wouldn't see Maeda play again before next season. Somehow he's back, and we've still got 4 games to go this season. He got a huge ovation, as Stevie touched on, and he actually tweeted about being moved at that moment after the game. All of those moments and the goals and the performance and just the overall afternoon showcased a Celtic team and a Celtic support who are united and fully charged and ready to go at the moment. And I always think when that's the case, we're a very hard team to stop. As I say, the amount of people I've spoken to and comments I've seen online from people who were at the game on Saturday that are just raving about the atmosphere and how much they enjoyed themselves. I think that's a really underrated point. At this time of the season, I'm as guilty for this as anyone. You do kind of slip into the whole just win by any means, because it's such a nervy time. You're kind of performance doesn't matter, just win. But I think coming away from the game on Saturday, people had genuinely enjoyed watching the game, enjoyed watching the team play like that, and had obviously enjoyed the result as well. So I think that's huge, and there is a real synergy there between the team and the support. And I guess the irony there is that it came against Hearts, and it was the last game against Hearts at Celtic Park back in December, when we were kind of at our lowest ebb this season. So the turnaround there has been massive, and as I say, I think when that synergy is there, we're a very hard team to stop. And I really hope you're going to see that next Saturday. With regards to that, as I said at the top of the video, it is Derby week now, and we're already looking ahead to the visit of Rangers on Saturday lunchtime. They beat Kilmarnock 4-1 yesterday, so they stay in touch at the top of the Premiership. The goal difference is the same. We're 5 ahead there. The points difference is the same. We're still 3 ahead, but only 3 matches left for each team now. So Stevie's comment that immediately jumped out to me, one hand on the title. And I'm not having a go at Stevie, because I think a lot of people feel like that, and certainly did after the game on Saturday. I'm not sure I would go that far, but it's a kind of strange situation we're in, because we're in a place where we have been a fair bit in recent years. We're looking at a derby match where victory ends the title race as a contest. That's a fact. You know, this Saturday, as I say, it's not going to be officially sealed. We can no longer officially win the league against Rangers this weekend. But if we do win, we'll be 6 points clear. 2 games left for each team. You know, we'd need another point, and even then the goal difference, you know, would probably be enough at that stage. So win this Saturday, we're going to win the league. But it's also still on a knife edge. We're only 3 points clear. If Rangers were to come to Celtic Park and win this weekend, the gap would be, there'd be no points in it. It would be down to goal difference. We'd still probably have a slight advantage there. But potentially, at that stage, you would even make Rangers favourites for the title, given that there'd be no points in it, and we'd still have to go to Rugby Park a few days later, where, you know, we've lost twice already this season. They would have the momentum. So as much as we're talking about, you know, next week's the one to win it, it's also like there's also still real jeopardy there. This isn't in the bag yet. We've still got one massive game on Saturday. So it's still in a knife edge for me. The point I'll make today, and I'm going to make it pretty much all week, next Saturday is a must-win for Rangers at Celtic Park if they want to win the league. That's obvious. It's not a must-win for us. We really, really want to win. You know, I really hope we can go out and batter them. I think, you know, the team are obviously going to be going out to win the game. But it's not a must-win for Celtic. There's only one team next weekend who it's a must-win for with regards to winning the league title. So there's still a fair bit of pressure involved, but I just think the Celtic team's playing so well at the moment. And I think if we turn up and play our game at the top level, or even close to our top level, I don't think they live with us next weekend. But yeah, pressure on it. Not that Brendan Rodgers seems to be feeling that. Yes, let's take a look at the comments that haven't at all been misconstrued or taken personally by perhaps the most thin-skinned person in football right now. After the game, Brendan Rodgers told the media, now you start to see a bit more of what a Celtic team of mine should look like, and still with a lot of work to do to get it to that point, but it's certainly heading in the right direction. 80% of it now is mental. Physically, they're in a really good place. This stage, it's all about mentality. You can see mentally, we're in a really good place. Take nothing for granted. Keep our composure. We have a lot of work to do in the week. Get our plan ready, and then next Saturday, we can have a bit of fun. As I say, I think these comments have been taken, you know, massively out of context. I really don't think they're disrespectful to Rangers in any way. Did Bertie Auld not used to have like a, not used to have, but there's a famous Bertie Auld quote about, you know, we did our training during the week and then at the weekend we had fun. Like, I don't think that's a massively controversial thing to say. But yeah, Philippe Clement was quizzed on them after their game yesterday, and he said, that is something I would never say about an opponent. We will see. It's not really respectful to my team, so I will never say anything like that about an opponent. So have it in your mind, Philippe Clement would never say something like that about having fun against an opponent. Literally a few minutes later on Sky Sports, I heard yesterday that they are going to have fun, so we are going to have fun also. At least we know one thing, that Brendan Rodgers certainly hasn't got under Philippe Clement's skin at all. Yeah, not at all. Expect those comments to be spoken about a fair bit more between now and kick-off on Saturday lunchtime. And yeah, we'll be doing plenty more talking between now and then as well. It's a huge week, massive game, but I think the final thing I want to say today is that Celtic are in a very good place. As I say, team are playing well, support are fully engaged, and I think that's going to be very important this weekend as well. It's not actually the final thing I want to say. Just finally, a moment of silence for Livingston and their artificial surface after their relegation from the Premiership was confirmed on Saturday. Right, okay, let's head off. I'm back tomorrow.